Hello, my name is Michael McKinzie, and I'm sharing this video for those of you who are just learning or experimenting with painting in oils. I myself am learning and consider myself to be somewhat of a novice with oils, and I will share here some of the steps that I went through in creating, as an example, this painting of McKinzie, in hopes that it may help you as you begin your learning process. I have not been interested in working landscape or still life, so I wanted to go after portraits in human form when I decided to jump into oil painting, and that's where this focus will be. I have viewed many YouTube instructional videos in my efforts to self-teach oil painting. I found many out there to be very helpful and even instrumental in like mixing colors, basic processes, etc. And I will also say that some of them I have taken with a grain of salt. However, overall, these videos from more seasoned artists have been very helpful to me and expect they would be for you as well. To start, this is oil on canvas at 24 inches by 30 inches. My first step was canvas preparation. I had an idea that I was going to work the background in blue, so I prepped the canvas by diluting a blue oil paint with odorless Gamsol mineral spirits and covering the entire canvas with a thin layer. I let this layer dry before coming back the following day and then worked my sketch into the canvas. I will share here that I'm working from a photograph versus using a live model, allowing me to work at my own pace, and at a novice level, this was most comfortable and convenient for me. In sketching the subject, please keep in mind that the following shortcut was my approach in preparing that sketch. I could have freehand sketched the subject. However, since I have access to a photograph, I enlarged the photograph, used tracing paper to sketch from the photo, then charcoaled the back of the tracing paper so I could then flip it back around and transfer that image onto my canvas. The example I've shown here is from another painting. However, the process of tracing on one side, charcoal on the back side, before transferring the image to the canvas is the same process that I used in creating this current painting. I did find that the charcoal transfer had a tendency to smudge when I actually started painting over the transferred sketch. So I lightly sprayed the transferred image before I started painting with a very light coat of workable fixative. The seasoned veteran out there may have a better solution. However, I've not seen any adverse effects to the overall painting by using this process. Early in my learning process of experimenting with oils and prior to outside instruction, I initially wanted to jump right into a painting by going straight for every detail from the very beginning. For many reasons, this approach did not work for me, and I actually created more work for myself covering and reworking some areas. So I've gone to what I would call a more traditional approach of color blocking, where I'm laying down large areas of dark shadow colors at first with a larger brush, and then working to lighter colors and tonal colors as the painting progresses. This is the approach that works for me and for many other artists as well. As you can see here, I'm laying down shadow colors and then start working in facial tones, the eyes and the lips. At this point, I'm beginning to work the background colors in. I've seen different approaches as to when to work the background colors in as well. This happened to be the time that seemed right for me to introduce those colors, and I also tried to introduce some of the background colors into the face and the hair of the subject as a reflection and actually a complementary color to the background. I worked and reworked the background, letting the layers dry for a day between application. I realized long ago that I'm probably not going to be satisfied with everything that I do on first attempt. I'm not bashful in saying that I make mistakes or that my initial approach is not always one that I'm satisfied with. As a result, I will let those areas dry a bit before working over the top of them later on. And there actually is a caveat here. I've just wiped down an entire area of a painting and removed the paint as best I could while it was still wet, let it rest, and came back later then to rework it. The background here is as a blue-gray with a color tint of red. My overall objective with this painting was to capture the emotions of a 16-year-old, and I chose a photo that gave her a more somber and mature look. I was thinking to myself, what teenage girl doesn't want to look mature? So that's the look that I went after. I also went with a warm blue background on one side to represent calm emotion, while introducing the red color on the opposite side to represent a more chaotic feeling, trying to capture that hormonal and emotional struggle and battle that takes place in a young teenage girl at this age. I hope that was effective. I ended the painting at 23 hours and was satisfied with the results at this point and in fear of overworking the painting. I did not use glazing in this painting. I will pick that subject up in a future video where I do use glazing. I hope this was helpful as a very basic introduction to my learning process of oils on canvas. Thank you for your time. Feel free to leave comments. I would love to hear what you thought about this video and will respond to any question you may have to the best of my ability. Thank you very much and have a great day.